don'ts, things that you never do when you appear in front of a group of people for any kind of speaking engagement. There are 100 different things you are not supposed to do, but I'm just giving you the top 5 or 6 things that you need to be mindful of. There are several others which you will discover as you go on your journey in public speaking. The first thing, never, ever, ever memorize the speech word for word. That is the golden rule. Never, ever memorize. And the reason I say that is because the moment you memorize a script, a speech, you are married to the speech 100%. God forbid you forget one word during that speech. That's it. It spoils the flow and creates for any number of embarrassing situations in your speeches. You would rather not memorize. Instead, what you do, you just get to know, memorize the main points. If your entire speech is centered around 3 points, focus on those 3 and build the speech. Have an overall idea and intimate familiarity with the subject around those 3 points. You could further elaborate, bulletize, make bullet points, make notes around those 3 points, but never ever memorize. That's the single biggest problem that you can ever have in a public speaking setting. Because if you forget, you will embarrass yourself so very badly in front of a crowd. Of course, there are ways to recover gracefully from a situation like that, but then you don't want to be in that position in the very first place. That's the big one. Then the other, in my opinion, smaller ones are no alcohol. I know it seems like a very obvious thing to not do, but then either by habit or because it might give them, people might be under the false belief that alcohol could give them the extra courage. People do consume alcohol right before speaking, and that is something that you never ever do. You don't know what alcohol will do to your brain and make you speak, because you don't want to be speaking the things that you are not prepared to speak for. So no alcohol is a golden rule. A very similar rule is no caffeine. If you have a very heightened sense of jitteriness every time you speak, caffeine could add to it. Caffeine could make it more pronounced. Now, if you are the kind that could drink coffee or something very strong and still be able to speak, of course, you can still do that. But then if you are the jittery kind, I would say stay away from coffee. Now, in the process, when you are jittery, the first things that show are your hands. When your hands tremble, when your hands shiver, you don't want your audience to be seeing that. So I would say, don't draw attention to your hands. So the lesser they see your hands, the better. If you have to drink water, make it quick, take a quick sip, and if you can turn away, much better. And also, because your hands are trembling, I would say keep your notes on the lectern, on the podium. Don't keep holding them because it will keep fluttering. Now I can assure you, by following the techniques in these 3 modules, you will be able to get over all of them and minimize your nervousness to the first few seconds. But still, during those first few seconds, if your hands are going to tremble, shiver, you don't want your audience to see them at any point in time. So the lesser attention you draw to your hands, the better. So the big thing to remember, fear for public speaking is a real thing. No matter how new you are, how experienced you are, it does happen to all of us. But with conscious practice, constant practice, you could minimize the nervousness to the first few seconds. So fear could be your friend. I'm saying that because of the fear, you're going to be very responsible towards your audience and put extra time and effort and resource into preparing the material and practicing for it over and over and over. So fear could be your friend or it could be your worst enemy. If you do not consciously practice to manage it, fear can be your worst enemy. You would rather make it a friend than an enemy. I know with the techniques I have laid out, you can overcome the fear. You can conquer the fear for public speaking. and give a glorious, victorious, fabulous, fantastic speech. Go for it. All the very best. Thank you.